Okay, guys, it's Dr. Ryan, and today we're talking with one of my patients who's been with me for about 6, 7 months or so. This is Chris, and Chris is going to tell us a little bit about his experience with Summa Up. Chris, why don't you go ahead and, in a couple of sentences, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what you do, some of your hobbies, your family, etc.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Ryan. So, Chris, as you mentioned, I've been a patient for about 6 months now. Live out in Silicon Valley in California and work in corporate finance, specifically private equity. Love to ski, golf, play tennis, former college athlete. So I've always been into that athletic mind and got to a point in time when I recognized that I was no longer of that 22-year-old physique and wanted to kind of get back to it.
As with a lot of my patients who are highly successful, I think you're kind of downplaying your athletic prowess. You were a very accomplished collegiate athlete, which I think is pretty amazing. That's just really, really wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your experience prior to starting with Summa Up, or really just your experience prior to Summa Up in terms of the anti-aging longevity space.
Yeah, so before Sum Up, well, right before I was, coming out of the pandemic and realizing, like a lot of people with the gym closures and the lockdown lifestyle, that I was just getting into bad habits. So, binging on Netflix and what I call the O's, Doritos, Cheetos, Oreos. It started to take its toll on my health. I gained unnecessary weight, got to an unhealthy space. My blood pressure was extremely high. My cardiovascular health had deteriorated. And the doctor, my general practitioner, my GP, let me know that my blood pressure and their vitals were at an alarming rate and kind of gave me a choice, get back in shape, or else he's going to start putting me on some fairly extreme medications to get everything back in line.
Gotcha. And let's double click a bit more. Outside of your blood pressure and I'm assuming certain markers like your lipid panel, what exactly were you trying to improve in terms of your physique and overall health? Was there like a body fat percentage you were trying to achieve? Was there like athletic markers you were trying to get to?
Yeah, I mean, if I want to be really candid, I'm 6'3.5". I got up 253 pounds coming out of the pandemic, and that's not me at all. Kind of my fighting weight, if you will, was right around 215, and I'm a former elite triathlete as well, and my race weight in triathlon was 183. So I was a long way away from being in optimal shape and optimal physique. And then to compound that, my blood pressure was extremely high. My cholesterol was extremely high. And you add all that up and, my doctor said, I'm a candidate for a heart attack. And I tell you what, there's nothing that's more eye-opening and alarming than to hear somebody say, you could have a heart attack and die tomorrow.
I mean, that's very, very concerning. And I'm glad that you took the measures to say, hey, I'm going to make some big changes. Sometimes it just requires an inciting event like that to put us into action. And you kind of allude to how some of the changes in your physique affected your ability to perform athletically. But how did those changes affect you in terms of your career or your relationships with your family, things outside of your work?
It's a sliding scale, and worse, it's more of a downward spiral. You get into very bad habits. At least I wasn't working out, was getting very relaxed with the diet, finding excuses for not being active. And over time, you lose the energy, you lose the motivation, and that's kind of self-feeding for this downward spiral. And that lack of energy, that lack of desire to, put in the extra effort at work, put in the extra effort everywhere with family, with friends, and getting complacent. And eventually, in my case, it took its toll. I gained a lot of weight and my vitals were right on a very unhealthy level.
Okay, well, you're at this situation and you need to make a change. How did you find out about Summa Up?
I found out about Summa Up through social media. I think it was an Instagram ad and wanted to inquire and learn more about it.
And and I recognize that there are many other options out there, was there something about the clinic that kind of piqued your interest and finally made you say, okay, this is the individual I want to work with, this is the clinic I want to start therapy with?
Yeah, I think to you and to your credit, your team's credit, you took a very holistic approach. It wasn't just about, reducing the body fat or getting to a certain physique. It was a much more holistic approach towards healthy lifestyle and longevity. And so one of the things that I admired most is, one, you're a licensed physician, you're a medical doctor, but two, you've actually been in the space. You've been in the physique and elite competitive world and that gave me a lot of confidence and affirmation that you can talk the talk, but you can walk the walk as well. You've actually been there. And I've been very pleased with the level of professionalism and understanding throughout your entire team. It's been a great experience.
So why don't we take this opportunity to kind of transition to some of the changes you noticed after joining? So let's first kind of talk a little bit about the changes you noticed in terms of your physique and your overall health. And before you start, I just want to brag on you a little bit. I am just pretty amazed at how quickly you were able to change one aspect of your health, and that's your lipid panel. You had mentioned that your cholesterol levels were a bit high, and this is the lipid panel you had when you started. And just in a mere 3 months, and you can see your total cholesterol is 237, your LDL is 167, and your triglycerides, well, not bad. We're a little on the higher side, 98. And just within a matter of 3 months of therapy and diet adhering to the workout program, you're able to drop your total cholesterol almost 30 points, your LDL a significant amount, more than 50 points, and your triglycerides dropped in half, which I think is really amazing.
Yeah, thanks. And again, it's just that shock and alarm, right? You don't want to be a heart attack candidate. The thing that I'm most proud of is those were simple lifestyle changes that you and the team had suggested, getting back into exercise and eating better, and no medications, right? And so I didn't want to take another pill. And if you do some of the research, that once you get on those medications, it's very difficult to come off, and the cholesterol and so forth can skyrocket back up because you haven't made the appropriate lifestyle changes. And so, again, credit to you and your team for recognizing how to make those quick changes.
Well, and I totally agree with you. A very common medication that we use in conventional medicine that we use is our statins. And I'm not the biggest fan of them because of the side effects that can be associated with it. If you're an athletic individual, it's well known they can cause myositis, inflammation in your muscles, and there's some evidence suggesting it could be linked to GERD or even gastric cancer. So trying to avoid those and utilizing a healthy diet and workout regimen is key. Well, good. Well, what about some of the changes that you saw in terms of your career and in terms of your relationship with your family? Did you notice any changes in that aspect?
Yeah, once I started to make the commitment, really, it was a commitment to myself to get back into better health. I found, greater motivation to have positive change and positive impact, across the board in terms of my life and in all aspects. And so that change in mindset allowed me to correct bad habits, and so overall just improve kind of my daily life. So scheduling workouts into my calendar, making that a priority, prioritizing my health, acknowledging that I wasn't going to be alone on the journey, both with you and the team, but also with my family, and telling them that, hey, this is my commitment. I'm going to get away from the junk food and reduce the alcohol consumption and all the other bad habits that I was getting into. And, it was great to have that kind of support to people. Friends and family were recognizing, hey, he's really kind of committed to this, and we're going to help support him.
That's actually almost a universal observation I've seen with my patients. Their friends and family start to comment pretty regularly, colleagues, etc., and it's a really good feeling. It's clear to me that you have a very strong self-image. You wouldn't be as successful as you are if you didn't, but it's always a nice boost to your self-confidence when you recognize, hey, you're looking great, your energy levels are optimized, you're feeling awesome, you're more present with the individuals that you care about. Very cool.
Absolutely.
Were there any other benefits that you noticed outside of some of the improvements in your biomarkers, the improvements in your physique, and perhaps the increased energy and ability to interact with family, staff, etc.?
Yeah, I'd always seen athleticism or athletics and working out as a healthy outlet for stress relief, and that's precisely what it had returned to. So, business colleagues, friends, family had all recognized that I wasn't quite as high strung anymore, that I was a lot more pleasant to interact with as a result of a reduction in stress. My business activities had seen greater focus, improved energy, greater drive and motivation towards success. And with that stress relief, managing that, incorporating my exercise routine into my daily life, again, everyone had seen all those improvements. And I was a much more pleasant person to be around as a result.
Again, that's something that I've noticed again and again. Just the idea of being cool, calm, and collected, and that ability to channel your energy in a more effective and more useful way is really key when you're making, decisions that impact, hundreds, if not thousands of people. And if you can make better quality decisions, make high quality decisions in a quicker manner, that's a big deal. Clearly in private equity, it's a huge deal. Okay. Well, what would you tell someone who's watching this video and is uncertain about joining the clinic? What would you tell that person?
There are a lot of benefits that come with working with Sum Up, and of course you, Dr. Ryan, and your team. You know, your commitment to longevity, and more importantly, I think one of the things that I've recognized is preventative care, which really doesn't exist in American medicine today. I think that's a very unique aspect to what you and your team are offering. You know, it's unique in the industry. And first and foremost is you know, you're looking at this ad and you're looking at making these changes because you recognize there's an issue. And so once you've committed and made that commitment to yourself for, you know, improving your health and well-being, those positive changes will cascade into every aspect of your life and very quickly. You know, you recognize, in my case, the cholesterol and blood pressure issues that had come down, you know, within 90 days. And that's no medications, that's simply making a commitment to better health and better lifestyle. And so, you know, once you make that commitment to yourself, you're going to be very glad that you did. And Summa Up and your team are the great catalysts to actually help along that path. But the hardest part is starting. So once they make that commitment, they'll be very happy that they did.
I don't think I can paint a more glowing recommendation of the clinic than you did. So I really appreciate that, Chris. Well, Chris, I understand your time is super valuable. I'm so thankful that you took the time to talk a little bit about your experience at the clinic and discuss it today. Thanks again.
My pleasure, Dr. Ryan. Thank you.